Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the, just make sure I get the right audio pulled up. Here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. More on that coming up here in just a few minutes. Want to thank you for joining me. Hey, good morning, John. How are you? Josh, always a pleasure. You coyote killing fool, you. And just all around good guy, hardcore hunter and angler. I like that. Good morning, Craig. Craig, what do we got? Tim, good morning. Bruce, good morning. How are you? A little less headroom if I can without screwing everything up. Good morning, Jim. How are things in Hersey? Any luck yet? Yeah. Just haven't been able to get it done. Good morning, Ed, Martin, Kevin, Brad. Oh, John, I did. You know what, John? I got your email. I started to read it. I was in the turkey blind. I did not follow up. I remember the gist of it, though. And I think I owe you a post from your opening morning turkey hunt as well. But yeah, congrats on that. Hey, good morning, Cap. How are you? Did you miss the video of me shooting a turkey? I don't know. I posted video of me shooting at a turkey. It's online. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Jim. Yeah, it's a bright, sunny morning, isn't it? First day I haven't been in the turkey blind for a while. It's been cold out there. I mean, kind of like crazy cold. Gary checking in from Monroe County. Robert checking in from Florida. If I was going to go to Florida, it would be like in February or March. It wouldn't be in April. But anyway, Robert, glad you're with us and hope you're having a good time. Oh, now I got to change this around so we can see my... Yeah, turkeys are an interesting bird, aren't they? I was ready to rock opening morning. Feeling pretty good about myself. Perfect spot, perfect place, perfect time, perfect setup. The gear was all dialed in. You know, I got that new crossbow this year, and I've been shooting it a lot to make sure I was dead on, and I was dead on. That's why when two longbeards came into my decoy at 6:30 opening morning, and I put the crosshair, 20-yard crosshair on the center of the first bird, the redhead, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a chance of shooting his beard off because I'm dead. Look like I'm genuflecting here, but I was dead on the middle of that bird and shot to the left. Now, I did get some feathers, but it didn't get any body. And I thought, what is going on? At 20 yards, I've got probably 100 shots through that new crossbow. I spent a lot of time dialing it in. And I was, like dead on. Good morning, Carl. How are you? So to shoot a little bit left threw me off. And then when the second bird that did not get shot at came into my decoy and put on a heck of a show, I didn't dare to shoot it. I thought if I'm that far off at 20 yards, I don't want to take a chance on another shot and miss a bird, or worse, wound a bird. Wound a bird sounds like a German name. A wound a bird. I didn't want to wound a bird. Robert, good morning. Bill, how are things at West Dayton Outdoors? So I passed on that, but turns out, and I never would have thought, and if you've been following me on Facebook, you know this all. Turns out I was indeed shooting to the left. Now, how that happened is an interesting question because, again, I had dead on, dialed in, shooting a lot. Very confident in my new crossbow, my gear. The only change I had made was at the last minute, I decided to add a Tacticam to my scope rail below the scope. Didn't touch the scope, at least that I know of. But I was off. Hey, Jim, good morning. Jason, good morning. How are you? That's the only thing I can think of. I was indeed shooting to the left. So I resighted the bow in. And now I'm good to go again. But I haven't had a shot at another bird now. Here's the situation I'm in. My number one spot, which is a good spot, it's close to the house. There are very limited hunting opportunities there. I've got about a 250-yard strip that I can move north and south on. but I'm not in the woods. I'm on the edge of the woods, and I'm calling birds off the roost into the opening in front of me. And I don't have room to move. I can either call them in front of me or I'm not going to see them. And I'm pretty sure now at this point I educated those birds, which was my concern. In there, you get basically one shot. If it doesn't happen, the birds get smart to you. And I think that's what I got going on now. Good morning, Raymond. How are you? So I think at this point I'm going to have to move. I set out there Monday. Let's see, I hunted Saturday. Didn't hunt Sunday. Went to church. Monday I was out there, and I had 6 hens in front of me. Now, how do you call in a flock of 6 hens at this point and not have a long beard with them? So that was my first indication. Hunted yesterday in the morning and in the evening. Didn't see a bird. Although as I was leaving, I saw 2 birds strutting 2 fields to the north. So again, I'm pretty sure that I have educated those birds and it's time to move on. As much as I'd like to stay on that property, at this point, it's probably an exercise in futility because they've got me figured out. So I'm looking for a new spot. I have some feelers out. I do have some land in the southwest part of the county. I did hunt there Saturday afternoon. There were 2 long beards I pushed off a ridge as I was going in there. So I always have that as a backup, but I know that property as a deer hunting property. I don't know it very well as a turkey hunting property. So I've got that in my back pocket, but I got a friend of mine looking at another farm for me. So maybe I can still get this done. But that was a rookie mistake. I'm not a rookie, but it was a rookie mistake. So the moral of the story is don't make any changes to your gear, no matter how minute, no matter how mundane, no matter how simple, without shooting it again. You wouldn't think putting a Tacticam on the rail below the scope would change my point of impact, but something changed it. And that's the only thing I changed. So it's the only thing I can come up with. It is what it is. Hey, the weather's crazy, isn't it? My goodness, it's been cold. We had that stretch of mid 80s pushing 90 here a couple of weeks ago, and it's been cold ever since. I mean, it's been cold in the turkey blinds. Speaking of that, cold, I was wearing my Versa skins. I want to make sure to make a point here. Versa skins, Michigan-based Versa skins, sale ends Sunday night, but they have a 50% sale off right now. If you go to versaskins.com, that's versaskins.com, use the promo code HUNT50, you can get half off anything on the online store through Sunday night. This is a good chance to take advantage of some good gear at a great price. Versaskins.com, promo code HUNT50. Hey, good morning, Tommy. How are you? Pleasure to have you along with us. On this edition of Behind the Mic, my name is Mikey. I'm going to step away from the mic here a little bit, turn the heat down here in the studio. I'll be right. Don't go away. There, I just heard it switch over from heat to cold. It was pushing some hot air on me, and I don't need that here in the studio. Hey, Ed, good morning. How are you? The domestic tom turkeys behind me. Good morning, Johnny. Good morning, Lori. Michigan's most interesting man. The most interesting man in Michigan who shot one of the most interesting birds in Michigan. Billy, the interesting thing is I've had pictures now of 3 or possibly 4 people who shot smoky gray toms this spring. Your bird was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm also looking at, and this has nothing to do. Hey, good morning, Angie. How are you? I like the video you and Gus had. Let's see. Let's decline that call. I like the video you and Gus had. That was pretty cool. Turkeys attacking your vehicle. Ruben, how are things in Colorado? Thanks for being along with me on this edition of Behind the Mic. I do appreciate it. Nothing to do with this hunt, but I'm thinking about switching from mechanical heads over to fixed blades. I might go to the Montec, back to the G5 Montec. And what got me thinking about this, I love the Michigan-made Rec broadheads. I've been using their expandable head. But I have had a problem with it catching on things and opening up, and then I go to shoot it and the blade's already open. I'm sure it's something I'm doing. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Ted. But this new crossbow, this 10-point that I have, the Darton that I had a big foot stirrup, so you could put your foot in it and cock the bow, and it was big enough that it would protect your broadhead. I'm used to putting my crossbows nose down and not worrying about the broadhead because that big foot stirrup would protect it. On this 10 point, they don't want you doing that, so they make what's called a little bow hanger. But I found out the hard way that if you put the crossbow nose down, you're actually sticking your broadhead into the dirt. So 3 things, I need to remind myself not to do that. Second thing is I already ordered a bigger bow hanger / foot stirrup to prevent that from happening. And number 3, I thought, why am I always worried about my mechanicals opening up? Why don't I just go back to a fixed blade? So I think I'm going to do that. In fact, for my bear hunt coming up here in a few weeks, I think I will probably be shooting the G5 Montex or possibly the Rec fixed blade. But I think I want to go back to a fixed blade and see if I can get it to fly from that crossbow. Bill said he also won $75 on a lottery ticket after shooting that bird. That was a pretty good weekend, wasn't it, Bill? Author W.C. Hoffman, Michigan's most interesting man. What else? Hey, trout season opens this weekend statewide. Walleye season opens in the lower. If you're in the Yup, you'll have to wait until May 15th unless you're fishing the Great Lakes and connecting waters. A reminder, connecting waters are not a river that flows into the Great Lakes, but it's a connecting water that connects to Great Lakes. That used to confuse me. I thought, well, the Saginaw River connects to Saginaw Bay, which is part of the Great Lakes. Why isn't that open? Well, it is in the lower stretch now, but yada, yada, yada. Good morning, Jake. Where'd you go, Jake? Good morning, Danny. Look what I got. My Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation mug. Jason checking in from the Ford Dearborn truck plant. Paul Perone of VersaSkins. Paul, I was just talking about this, and you give me the perfect opportunity. Paul Perone is the owner and the man behind Michigan-based VersaSkins. If you go to the website versaskins.com, that's versaskins.com, and put in the promo code HUNT50, you can save half off everything in the online store, the web store. That's versaskins.com. Use the promo code HUNT50, get half off. Now, this sale runs only through the end of the weekend. It was an April promotion. You see me with my hunts wearing VersaSkins. Great products, warm, versatile, tough. And if you want to get half off, now is your chance. Versaskins.com, versaskins.com. Use the promo code HUNT50 and get half off. Dennis said he did that, and he's got his coming. Good morning, Dan. How are you? Thanks for joining me on this edition of, I almost said Wednesday night. This is Behind the Mic. Why do we call this Behind the Mic? Actually, it's Mike behind 2 mics. People say, why do you have 2 mics in front of you? Mic is short for microphone. This one, my official social media mic, and this one, my official broadcast microphone. Now, you can't hear me do this directly into the mic because this one you're hearing fed into the social media, and this one is broadcast. Good morning, Robert. How are you? From Wixom Lake, the lake formerly known as Wixom. Jerry says, well, Jerry, it's always a pleasure to have you along with me. He's checking in from the Adirondacks in New York, where it's probably cold like it is here in Michigan this morning. Cody, might head to Michigan for the trout opener. Rain has me second guessing the 3-hour drive, though. Is it supposed to rain again this weekend? Bill says, good morning. Love the show. Got my brothers to listen now. They're fans. Oh, I appreciate that, Bill. I will be sending you a finder's check. That's not true, but I do appreciate the recommendation. Ed Rutherford, Captain Ed Rutherford of Trout Scout Charters. Ed was on the show, I think it was last week. Ed is, as far as we can figure out, the longest running charter captain on the Great Lakes. He's been out there, 50 years, Ed? Ed was there in 1967 off Manistee and Platte Bay, the first year the salmon came in, 1967. Now, I was out there in 68. I was only 10 years old. In fact, there's a picture of me holding 2 Manistee kings caught on braided line, trolling flatfish behind a ski boat. That's all we had. That's all we knew. Yeah, there's finder's checks, Bill. Bill, for everybody you can get to start listening to my show, I will send you a check. That's not true. I will send you a 25-cent check. No, even that's not true. Jim says, yes, I'm fishing Lake St. Clair for the first time. Excellent, Jim. Have fun. Lake St. Clair for what? Walleye? because the fishing in the south, well, the walleye fishing right now in the lower part of the state has been on fire. It's been a really, really good spring. Bill says he's going to be a dozenaire. Sweet, Bill says. We got a Billy Hoffman and a Bill Lincoln. What else? May 15th for walleye in the UP. The UP smelt runs are just wrapping up, and from what I hear, it's been a pretty good smelt run in the UP. Jim is fishing for walleye and smallmouth. That'll be a great trip, Jim. Have fun. Bill says, yes, the walleye have been fantastic. I haven't been out there yet this spring. Don't have a boat yet. Getting a new angler quest. Just waiting for that to get all worked out. Good morning, Josie. Outlaw Josie Wales. I really enjoyed you in that movie, Josie. You did a great job. You looked a lot like Clint Eastman. Robert says, Platte Bay to the river was always an experience in the good old days. Yeah. It was something else, wasn't it? And in the early days of Great Lakes salmon fishing, because people had no experience, they didn't have the gear. They were out there in flat bottom boats and ski boats and high canoes and whatever. John says, how's the turkey hunting going? John, you need to take a look at my Facebook feeds. Uncle Johnny Craves, how you doing this morning, buddy? Always a pleasure. And Johnny, that text that we shared last night about your renovation situation and how you were going to deal with it, I did the same when I got out of the turkey woods. I did the same thing in honor of you last night, Johnny. Have I heard anything about the suckers running in mid-Michigan? Brad, I have not. In fact, I didn't even hear how the sucker run went in Omer this year. That's probably done by now. Anyway, my name is Mike Avery. This is Behind the Mic. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's radio show. You know, Josie said the suckers are slow. Can I just brag here a little bit? There are 1 million Michigan-based outdoor podcasts. Not 1 million, probably just 10,000. And a lot of them are very good. But there's one syndicated outdoor radio show that's actually, well, mine's the biggest. I'm on 33 stations across the state, plus there's the podcast version up. So I like to make the point that this is first and foremost a radio show because hardly anybody else is doing it. So I kind of put that feather in my hair. You know, see how it sticks there. Good morning, Jason. How are you? Ross, hoping the rain holds off Saturday. We have our first high school, middle school bass tournament. We'll have 100 boats out there. Want the best experience possible. Ross, I hope the weather holds for you as well. So coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters talks about early season salmon trolling on Lake Michigan. Then Nick Buja of the Michigan Wildlife Council. In hour number 2, we're talking about trout fishing in honor of the trout opener this weekend with Dave Rose. Then Bob Boudry, who is Boudry or Beaudry, I don't know yet. He is one of the pure Michigan hunt winners. This week's Ask Avery question, I'm still mulling over in my head what we're going to do with that. In hour number 3, Drew Youngdyke, who used to be at MUCC, it used to be at the National Wildlife Federation, now the head media guy at Trout Unlimited. And, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Good morning, Gene. How are you? Gene, I don't recognize your name. Thanks for being along with us. If you've been with us before, I apologize for not noticing, but thank you for joining us this morning. I do appreciate it. One more time here. I got to hit the air here in about 3 minutes. One more time, versaskins.com. Tom Kramer, 76ers class supper in Truffin tonight. Well, Tom, I'm not going to make it because I'm going to be doing some. Here, Tom, Tom, do this, please. Please, if you think of it, Tom, do this. Tom Kramer, a classmate of mine from Cedar Springs High School from 1976. Tom, if you think of it, pull up your phone tonight and tune into my Wednesday night live so I can say hi to some of my fellow classmates. And that might be kind of fun. If you think of it, Tom, please do that because I'm going to be tied up with Wednesday night live. Good morning, Greg. How are you? Eric says it's a nice, cool morning in Roscommon, as it is across much of the state. Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you? Jeff, I did talk to Scott, but I didn't follow up on what you wanted me to follow up on. I apologize. John Sullivan of Lure Lipstick, lurelipstick.com. Good morning, John. How are you? Pleasure to have you along with us. Encourage you to check out Lure Lipstick, the website, lurelipstick.com. Also, versaskins.com. Use the promo code HUNT50 and save 50%. This sale only runs through the end of the weekend, but if you want a great deal on a great product, this is as good as you're going to get. Short of Bill Hoffman, um, Bill Hoffman, short of Paul Perone giving away product, Bill Hoffman got my attention because he says, have a great show. Now, talking about some of the great outdoor podcasts, Michigan Bowhunters Association, Bill Hoffman is the host of that. Stuff would be perfect because I go live at 7. Hey, Johnny Bowler. Oh, sorry. I was a lot of help on that one, wasn't I, Jeff? Oh, Johnny. How you doing, buddy? Bearded hens? Oh, yeah, there are bearded hens. I've seen several of them. In fact, property I used to hunt at had a lot of bearded hens, and there was one smoky gray bearded hen that would have been a legal target. But there were a lot of long beards around there. I just couldn't force myself to do it. Yeah, bearded hen. The law says you have to shoot a bearded bird, whether it's a jake, a long beard, or a bearded hen. It has to be a bearded bird in Michigan. All right. Good morning, Heidi. How are you? Jeff checking in from the Dearborn truck plant. Good morning, Jeff. How are you? Can you see Jason from where you're at? Are you both at the Ford plant? Can you see Jason? Jason was here with us earlier as well. I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for probably about 45 seconds. 1 minute, Charlie says. Give or take. So in a little less than a minute, I'm going to change the focus of what I'm doing. I will not be able to directly interact with you. I'll be switching to this microphone, my official broadcast microphone, although it's not gold-plated. Rush Limbaugh had a gold-plated microphone. I'm waiting to walk in here some Wednesday morning and have it realized that Charlie Rood bought me a gold-plated microphone. He has not done that yet. I'm a little disappointed. I'm not heartbroken, but it's a sense of disappointment. Good morning, Dave. How are you? 9 weeks and 1 day till you retire. I'm sure that's what you're talking about, Jeff. Thank you for your service over the years of protecting the people of Michigan. Blast off. Are we still doing it? Okay, that was a blast off. No. So we'll start over again. Let me change my clock here. I'll just give myself any word. Where did John go? Any word on netting? No. Oh, that's Reader calling me right now. I can't talk to see. Reader's calling me to let me know they're going to do some. Oh, let me send my wife a quick text here. All right. Now 5, 4, 3. Is this for real? 1, blast off. But I got to wait about 15 seconds because I already started my clock. Morning, Ryan. Morning, Dave. No word on netting. All right, now I can start my clock. Boom. Okay. All right, my friends, have a good day. I'm going to talk about a lot of the same things we've already discussed here, so feel free to stick around if you want, or just listen to the first segment of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. How are you this morning, this afternoon? I say morning because we're sitting here in the studio and they're recording this in the morning, but I obviously realize people listen to this show and the podcast version of at many different times. I was a little distracted because I'm trying to text someone and open the radio show at the same time. The text is about turkey hunting, so that's very important. So I can't just ignore that. I've got to take care of that. It was an interesting opening weekend for me in the Michigan turkey woods, and it was very exciting. One of the most exciting turkey hunts I've ever had. Let me just respond to this. Anyway, well, first of all, let's talk about the weather. Let me get my brain wrapped around the radio show here. Let's talk about the weather first of all. I know that in Michigan the weather is going to be screwy. I know it's going to be up and down. I know it's going to be a roller coaster. But can you remember a spring like this? I mean, it's been downright cold. It's been cold in the turkey woods. It's been cold sitting at my granddaughter Addison's softball games. I talked to a guy yesterday who was driving up from Detroit. He said there was an absolute a blizzard. It was a whiteout on I-75 in the third week of April. And it's supposed to be what, cold still this weekend, rainy still this weekend. How is that going to affect your outdoor activities? Is it going to is it going to keep you out of the turkey woods? Is it going to keep you off the water? Is it going to keep you from looking for morels? I hope not. One thing we've learned is that in the outdoors, dealing with our outdoor passions, we have to deal with Mother Nature and make the most of what she throws at us. Can we change it? No. Can we change the weather? Of course not. Should we change our plans based on a weather forecast? I say absolutely not, because there have been too many times in the past where I have been burned by looking at a weather forecast, by looking at the temperatures, the rain, or usually the wind, saying, you know what, let's not go tomorrow. It doesn't look very good. I've learned, don't go by that. Don't go by the forecast unless it's just going to be an absolute gale to keep you off the water. But, wait until the morning. Get up early that morning, look at the weather forecast, walk outside, see what the weather looks like, and then get a feel for whether you should cancel or not. Because I know you work hard. I know you spend a lot of time in the shop. I know you spend a lot of time in the office. I know you spend a lot of time on the farm, on a tractor, whatever it is. So your free time, your leisure time is valuable, and we want to make the most of it. Well, Mother Nature plays a big role, but let's not pull the plug on plans until the last minute when we have to. Okay, getting back to my turkey season. You know I love turkey hunting, and it's one of my top 3 things in the outdoors: turkey hunting, bear hunting, and walleye fishing. And this last weekend was the opener of Michigan's turkey season, and I was ready. I was hunting my number 1 piece of property. I love it because it's real close to the house, and it's got birds on it. And my buddy Doug graciously allows me to hunt there, and I do appreciate it. I had a new crossbow this year, and I was excited to use that. I'd spent a lot of time getting this thing dialed in. It was dead on, absolutely perfect. I had done my scouting. I had hunted this piece of property before, but I'd been out there the last couple of weeks in the morning waiting to see what the birds were doing. I knew where the birds were roosting. I knew where the birds wanted to go, and I knew how they had to get there. So I set up my Wraith 270 see-through ground blind on the north end of the property. The birds were roosted on the south end of the property, just over into the neighbor's property. They were roosted about 200 yards to the south. They were going to walk through the woods next to me on the way to the fields to the north. My plan was, I'm going to intercept those birds. I'm going to call them off the roost so they have to come out and walk in the open field in front of me. Bow's dialed in, scouting is done. I'm out there early. Decoys are set up, and all is wonderful in the Michigan turkey woods on the opening morning. I heard, and it was cold, I heard the birds gobble on the roost. I heard what I thought were 3 different birds, and they didn't sound like jakes. They sounded like adult birds. I did not call to them on the roost. They went quiet. I waited until I thought they were probably on the ground, and I made one little call, chirp, 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 and gobble, 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 gobble. From just beyond the trees where I am sitting, I didn't think the birds were going to be that close yet. A bird, turns out there were 2 of them, let out this monstrous gobble, and I knew they were coming in my direction. I thought, holy cow, here we go, and the season is just getting started. So I start my camera. I start my Tacticam camera on the crossbow. I got the bow up on the shooting sticks. I've got 2 decoys in front of me at about 16 yards and 18 yards. And around the corner comes a longbeard. He's not in strut, but he's coming, and it's obvious he's coming to my call. He sees the decoys, he's coming to me. And then another long beard rounds the corner, and he's coming too. I thought, this is going to be the shortest Avery turkey hunt in history because it's like 6:29 at this point. Again, the crossbow is dialed in. I've been shooting it a lot. I put the 20-yard crosshair right on the center of the lead bird. I'm thinking, I better be careful. I'm going to shoot the beard off this bird. I don't care about that. So I put the 20-yard crosshair on the center of the bird. I wait for him to get to 20 yards. I squeeze the trigger. The arrow takes off, and it goes to the left. I mean, it knocked some feathers off the bird. I mean, it shaved some feathers off, but it didn't hit body. He flies off. I'm looking at him through the side of the blind. He's fine. He's like, what happened there? What happened there? And he keeps wandering. He's not hurt. But the other bird that was with him comes into my decoy, puffs up, struts up, and spends about 5 minutes doing circles around my decoy at 18 yards, pecking at the decoy. So now I'm faced with a question. Well, do I take another shot at this bird, the second bird? What happened with the first bird? And I was genuinely confused. I thought, I have spent so much time behind this new bow. I know it's dead on, and it obviously shot to the left. At this point, I don't have the confidence to shoot at that second bird. So I let him wander off. I'm thinking, what happened? What happened? How could this be? And then it hit me. At the last minute, the Friday night before the season started, I decided to put a Tacticam on my crossbow. Now, a Tacticam is a very small point of view camera that allows you to see what you're shooting at and record it on video without having a separate video camera. I mounted it to the rail of the crossbow below the scope and didn't think it would have any impact, any change on the impact of my arrow at all. And it shouldn't have. In theory, it should not have. So I get out of the woods, I go to shoot my bow, and it is indeed shooting to the left. Wow. So I dialed it back in. I resighted it back in with the Tacticam on there. I still don't know how mounting a Tacticam to the rail of your crossbow could make any change in the impact. But something changed, and that's the only thing I did. So it was an unfortunate lesson. It was a rookie mistake. I'm not a rookie. I'm not an expert, but I'm not a rookie, and I made a rookie mistake. I made a change in my gear and did not go back out and shoot the bow. Lesson learned. You're always learning, right? I don't care how many times you've done this, how much time you spent on the water, how much time you spent in the woods. There's always room for error, and there's always room for mistakes, and there's always room to learn. And I learned this lesson. So now, the property I'm on, again, it's a nice piece of property, but my opportunities are very limited. I'm set up in a field next to, it was not turkey fever, not at all. The bow was shooting to the left, though I had turkey fever. I was excited, absolutely. But I verified when I got out of the woods, the bow was shooting indeed to the left. It was not me, it was the bow, but it was my fault that the bow was shooting to the left because I didn't follow up. So now I think I've educated those birds, and I have a very small property to hunt with. I've got about a 300-yard strip, so it's not like I've got room to move and I can't go back into the woods. It's like I am there to intercept them. It's either going to happen on the south end of the property or the north end of the property. And now they're educated. So now I'm looking for spot number 2. Hey, that's the way it goes. Trout opener this weekend across the state. Walleye opener in the lower. If you're in the UP, you'll have to wait until the 15th. Smelt run is wrapping up in the UP. It's a big weekend in the outdoors. Hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate. And I think I will get another chance. at a big bird. It's just a matter of being patient. But you know what? I am indeed patient. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show after the break, Captain Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters out of Manistee talks about early season trolling on Lake Michigan. Then Nick Bougie of the Michigan Wildlife Council in hour number 2, Dave Rose on trout fishing. Bob Beaudry, one of the Pure Michigan Hunt winners. And in our third hour, Drew Youngdyke, now the head PR guy at Trout Unlimited. And we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. That's right here on Outdoor Magazine. Yeah, Rob, I wish I could blame it on turkey fever. I just blame it on stupidity. Okay, let me make a quick. All right, let me get. All right, I got to go, my friends. I got to make a couple phone calls here, and